moving forward, I want to identify some themes. Boring. What is this themes? It sounds like a history or English class, Grain. And look, we're driving home. No. Here's what I'm going to do. There's a theme. Boring. Stop it right now. There's a theme throughout the Obama presidency, and I say the Obama presidency. Why don't you talk about Bush more? Because he hasn't been president in 6 years. But I love President Bush, and I would. I really like him. I disagree with some of his domestic policy, and I wasn't with him on immigration. But I got to tell you, I like President Bush, and I will make no apologies. I love a man who loves and defends America. I really do. And he did just that. If you ever knew the backstory or behind the scenes, and some of you do, it's been written about, but President Bush had some qualities in a president that we would want in every president. The man is brilliant. And yet he's depicted, whenever we talk about President Bush, we talk about Will Ferrell. And Will Ferrell's funny. He does a good President Bush. Dana Carvey did a great President Bush. It's not senior, but they call him senior. But I'm speaking about HW. And I think of how people are characterized, like Sarah Palin by Tina Fey. And I mean, I guess the left has to make up caricatures of the right that are false, and they're pretty much leftist. We know that. But all we have to do is actually play content and review the policies. But I digress. Back to the point of themes. Here's the theme. Follow me here. Themes. Why don't we open with the Veterans Administration and what we have seen from this administration in handling our veterans. First, you're going to hear the president in 2008, Charleston, West Virginia. This was the second part of the clip, and it was just a little later on in the speech. In fact, I think it was a line later, and I picked it right up. But I went back and I read the speech and heard the speech, and quite frankly, it's a pretty good speech. Here's my point. He speaks directly to what we are experiencing today. Roll it.
We know that over the last 8 years, we've already fallen short of meeting this test. We all learned about the deplorable conditions that were discovered at places like Fort Bragg and Walter Reed. We've all walked by a veteran whose home is now a cardboard box on a street corner in the richest nation on earth. We've all heard about what it's like to navigate the broken bureaucracy of the VA, the impossibly long lines or the repeated calls for help that get you nothing more than an answering machine. Just a few weeks ago, an 89-year-old World War II veteran from South Carolina told his family, no matter what I apply for at the VA, they turn me down. The next day, he walked outside of an outpatient's clinic in Greenville and took his own life. Now, how can we let this happen? How is this acceptable in the United States of America? The answer is it's not. It is an outrage. It is a betrayal of the ideals that we ask our troops to risk their lives for. But it doesn't have to be this way. Not in this country. Not if we decide that this time will be different.
So it doesn't have to be this way. That was in 2008. Now remember, transition team briefing the president, and there are reports that they briefed him on what exactly was taking place in the sense of the wait lists and the issues. We do know that the president heard about the latest news of people allegedly dying and reportedly dying on the wait list, like in the situation in Phoenix, but we have others now coming to surface from the news. check out the Facebook page. I posted a montage courtesy of the likes of the Washington Beacon, and hat tip to Town Hall tip sheet for that one, which details this media strategy. That said, the president outlining what he believes, and then comes a question of accountability today. So you had the promise of yesterday, you have the recognition of the transition team, you have the increase in funding, and then you still don't have accountability of people being fired, people scheduled to retire, and they retire early is called a termination. We see people maintaining their benefits and their retirements. So as Colonel Kukulu mentioned, we're not seeing firing. Here is an exchange between Jim Acosta from CNN following up with Jay Carney today on when the president knew about the most recent issues. When did he learn about these? Roll it.
Wait, that is something that the president did not know about until just a few weeks ago.
Again, Jim, we can repeat this, and I apologize if there was a lack of clarity on my part yesterday. I was responding to a question about I understood from CNN about CNN's report about allegations, including that some veterans have died as a result of these issues in the Phoenix facility. That matter is under independent investigation by the IG. The IG himself has made some statements about that investigation and the results of it so far. The Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Eric Shinseki, has also launched his own review of those allegations and others that have emerged in the wake of that reporting. And we, the President and the rest of us, await the results of those two inquiries. And he is not at all pleased with some of the allegations and will be extremely unhappy if some of them prove to be true. But he will wait for the facts and the investigations, as we all should, and then insist that action be taken and people be held accountable.
So how long has the president known about the concealing of these wait times?
Again, you know what, Jim, I would urge you to wait for the investigation.
How long has the secretary known about these wait
I would
times?
refer you to the Veterans Affairs Department.
We just don't know that at this point.
I would refer you for questions about the Secretary of Veterans Affairs to the VA.
So a call for accountability and not so much. Oh, we have investigated. Nobody's fired. Oh, that guy was terminated, but he retired early. So promise, evidence, today, Investors Business Daily op-ed. Documents show the president was told by the Veterans Administration officials during his transition briefings that he shouldn't trust the wait time and treatment scheduling data being reported by the local VA centers. And he has increased the discretionary budget by 35.2%. Interesting. So more money, but still longer wait times. Just learning about it, investigating, nobody's fired, no accountability. Promise, 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 no accountability. Going to do things differently. It reminds me of Obamacare when we had the promise in 2009 and then the reality of 2012, 13, or 14. You remember this, don't you? Roll it.
No matter how we reform health care, we will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period.
They're going to have to make some choices, and they might end up having to switch doctors. You've got to use this doctor as opposed to that one, or this hospital as opposed to that one. Now, you may find out that that network's more expensive than another network, and then you've got to make a choice in terms of what's right for your family.
If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period. No one will take it away, no matter what. What we said was you could keep it if it hasn't changed since the law's passed. We will lower your premium by $2,500 per family per year.
Comprehensive health care reform so that we can do what I pledged to do as a candidate and save a typical family an average of $2,500 on their health care costs in the coming year.
And everybody will have lower rates.
Premiums are likely to go up, but go up at a smaller pace than what we've seen since 2010.
So the promise and the reality, and that continues. And when we have that, we have a lot more questions. We have people, whistleblowers, coming out saying they've been told to do this, handle this activity, and in essence, cover it up. Fox and Friends Monday morning. Also from the Investors Business Daily piece, Dr. Margaret Moxness, who was employed at the Huntington VA Medical Center in Charleston, West Virginia, from 2008 to 2010, said she was told by superiors, quoting from the article, to put patients off for months on end, even after telling superiors they required immediate care. At least 2 of her patients committed suicide while they waited for care between appointments. She calls the administration compassionless and eventually left the VA after sending higher-ups several memos that went unignored. The Dayton News, Daily News, reported that the investigation of the database of claims paid to Veterans Affairs shows that the words, quote, delay in treatment, unquote, were used 167 times. Now, let me ask you this. If you're mad as Hades, are you doing countertop slides at burger joints? Are you focusing your resources? I'm not much on optics, but I am for accountability, especially in light of the fact that you just never know when this stuff is happening. Yet you promise the world. And then you say, oh, government really doesn't work that well. Remember that one? That was an admission during Obamacare. And who's going to hold them to account? It's when somebody's relative or somebody is directly impacted by this. I remember Seton Motley making an outstanding point, and sadly having to make the point that healthcare, in essence, Obamacare, is a problem because it hits so many people. Unlike Benghazi, where people and the media has chosen to do the Heisman and walk away from it. We're going to explore that next hour and give you a primer where you can get the last 7 days of news, and we've condensed it, and why you should care and what questions to ask. That all said, there are a lot of questions when it comes to global warming. No, it's not called global warming anymore, Crane. It's called climate change. And if you don't agree with climate change, you are a flat earther. You go against that 97% or 79 scientists, was it? And now we realize that that was there was a big problem with the methodology and the questions and how that was done. By the way, since the last 17 years, the Earth hasn't warmed. Oh, yeah, flatlined. We're going to talk to Calvin Beisner, next about global warming, AFR Talk.